Everybody. We are so excited for you to be here with us today. We are going to jump into our Learn Everywhere lessons format in our with the latest release that we have, and we are going to go over some really exciting content today. I have not introduced myself yet. My name is Melissa Tui. I'm the EdTech and Adoption Specialist here at Ozobot. Thrilled to be with you all this evening. I'm a former teacher. I taught kindergarten and first grade. Also founded a coding, engineering, design thinking program in South LA at a Title I school, and have coached teachers in implementing computer science. When I'm not at Ozobot, I'm at UCLA pursuing my doctoral degree in educational leadership. So I am very excited to be here and sharing ideas with everyone. I'll pass it to Adrian to introduce herself.
Hi, you guys. My name is Adrian White. I'm the head of marketing at Ozobot, and I have the pleasure of working really closely with our EDU team here. So yeah, really happy to connect with all of you guys and chat today. Thanks for joining.
And then we'll pass it to Natalie. Yeah.
Hey everybody, thanks. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet because my dogs, for whatever reason, are going crazy tonight, so I apologize. But prior to joining Ozobot, spent many years, it felt like many years, in the classroom as an educator like many of you, teaching grades beginning in 5th grade, transitioning down to 3rd grade, and then doing the bulk of my teaching in kindergarten. After I was ready to transition out of the classroom, I gravitated towards my love of computer science and was able to work specifically with instructional coaching students and teachers K through 6 with computer science immersion, and have also done a lot with computer science professional development in schools. So again, I'm really happy to be here too. I noticed some familiar names in the webinar tonight, so it's great that you guys, some of you keep coming back, so thank you. And hopefully you are thrilled with what you're gonna see today as far as the resources we have to share.
All right, thank you so much, Natalie. So a general overview of our Learn Anywhere lessons. Right now we are in the midst of developing 2nd through 5th grade lessons. We recommend that the pacing is 1 lesson per week, and these lessons are about 30 to 45 minutes long, just depending on your students' ability levels. All of our lessons are standards aligned, so they will be aligned to one content standard, whether that's Common Core Math, Common Core ELA, or NGSS, and then every single lesson will be aligned to at least one CSTA standard and one ISTE standard. All of our lessons do include a synchronous lesson plan. If this is something that you would like to teach this content traditionally, we have that lesson plan there ready for you. We also have an instructional video. This is student facing, and this is something that if maybe you're a little bit more nervous about implementing computer science, or you're not as confident, you can use that instructional video to help guide your instruction. Or you can just give it to your students to self-pace and self-guide, and they can actually accomplish the task themselves. So we've created this to be as little of a lift on your end as a teacher, and to maximize learning and fun on the student's end. We also include all the student activity sheets and a answer key for you when you're reviewing their work, and a potential solution, just depending on what the activity is. And in each lesson plan, there is a student activity guide. So for any students that might need an extra visual anchor, the directions are written out in a format that is student friendly and student facing, but all of that content is covered in the instructional video. So that's only for your students that might need that extra accommodation. This is an example of what a synchronous lesson plan looks like. It looks like your traditional lesson plan with all the different elements like materials, direct instructions, student practice, and standards. It's all included in there for you. Here's an example of what the potential answers, the potential solutions or answer keys look like. And these are labeled with a teal bar on the top corner for you to easily identify. If you haven't done so already, we highly recommend you actually start with the first 4 weeks of the Ozobot basics, starting with Introduction to Ozobot, Get to Know Evo, all the way through our 3rd color code lesson, Introduction to Color Codes, Directionality. And we actually hosted a webinar a few weeks ago where we dive super deep into all 4 of these lessons. So check out our past webinars on our webinar page. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll be able to find this webinar if you want to know more information or just learn about any best practices about how to deliver this instruction. For today's lessons, we are going to cover 2nd through 5th grade lessons. In 2nd grade, it's even or odd shopping. 3rd grade, rounding fun. In 4th grade, we're going to work on some division with remainders. And in 5th grade, we are going to talk about order of operations. So with that, I'll pass it over to Natalie because she's going to start off and kick us off with 2nd grade, even or odd shopping. Just to let everyone in the audience know, Natalie was the developer on the lessons that she's speaking about. So she is the expert. If you have any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat or Q&A, as she's the designer and came up with all of these brilliant, fun ideas. So Natalie, I'll pass it over to you.
All right, well, thank you, Melissa. So I'm going to pull up my slides. Let me just share my screen here. And then we are going to try something new today. We're going to see how it goes, giving you a little active demonstration of the lessons, and would love your feedback as far as if that was helpful or more informational at the end of the session. But I know most of you are upper elementary, so this was geared towards 2nd grade, but it easily could be tweaked. For 3rd grade, we could take the addition component of this lesson and transition it into multiplication. But the way that this lesson works, as Melissa spoke earlier, all of our lessons have the instructional videos, anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes, and they're split into chapters for easy navigation and facilitating on your end, as well as students to be able to pace themselves if they are completing lessons remote. And the way this lesson works, there's 2 activity sheets. One is the shopping list the students are going to complete for Ozobot. And the second sheet is the actual activity map or the shopping path that Ozobot is going to take at the grocery store to collect the items. So now I'm wondering, because I lost you all and I lost myself. Okay, if I tip my, I don't know if this is gonna work well or not. We were playing with this earlier. Can you all see my handout, or is it not very clear? You can see it?
We can see it. It's not super clear, but I think with the side-by-side of the worksheet on the screen, we're able to see it.
Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is just the shopping list handout. This is basically where students are going to complete the data based on the shopping, as well as apply some math skills. So first and foremost, students are going to look at the different items that Ozobot is shopping for. So the first item is going to be apples, and students need to determine if that number is odd or even, as well as how many apples Ozobot's going to collect. In the video, it's explained, odd and even can be identified by counting by 2s, and we can also show odd or even numbers depending on the addition or the sum by adding the same addend. So in this scenario, there are 15 apples. So students would then record, based on my apples, they're going to be odd. And then students would come up with an equation to demonstrate the knowledge that 15 apples are odd. And I actually forgot to write 15. See, you guys are gonna make me write upside down. Ooh, okay. All right, so 15 odd, and then they would show an equation by pairing their apples. So when they group their apples, they'll see that they have one that is left over. That's a good indicator to let them know visually, oh, that's an odd number. To support their math skills in demonstrating that it's an odd number, they would write an equation. I had 14 apples that were paired. If I add one more, because I have an extra, that gives me my 15. For those teachers who might teach 3rd grade, you could easily use this activity, but instead of having students come up with an addition sentence to demonstrate odd or even, you could have them come up with a multiplication fact. So once students determine if their number's odd or even, they have a color code key at the bottom that's going to prompt them to put in a certain color code. So if the group is odd, the students are going to use this backwalk code. And if the group of objects is even, they're going to use the spin color code. So for this example, I would go back to my shopping map. And in this first empty color code, I would put in my backwalk sequence. So I would color in red, green, blue, and black. And once I'm done completing and determining whether all of the items are odd or even, as well as showing an equation, Ozobot's actually going to go shopping. So Ozobot will start at the beginning of his trip. I haven't filled in any of the color codes, but eventually with a completed map, the bot is going to move backwards when it gets to an odd amount, and it's going to spin when it gets to an even amount. So that is odd or even shopping. Again, you definitely could customize it for multiplication. You could even utilize division if you wanted instead of multiplication for the equation component. Or you might even have some other wonderful ideas that you come up with. So that's just a brief overview of even or odd shopping. The next lesson that I'm going to share with you is called Rounding Fun. And again, you can make some variations to this lesson depending on the concept that you're teaching at this time in the year. The way that this activity works is students are going to round numbers using a number line, and then they're going to program Ozobot to move to the correct rounded answer or the correct rounded number. The lesson has number lines and maps with numbers for students to practice rounding to the nearest 10 as well as to the nearest 100. We've also included within this lesson a blank map template. So you could plug in your own numbers. You could have students choose their own numbers. If you needed a little bit more rigor for your students, you could absolutely utilize fractions and have students round fractions to the nearest whole, or decimals. So the way this activity works, again, hopefully you guys can see this. The students are going to begin with their number line, and they can see the number they were prompted up in that left-hand corner. So this particular number is 76. The students need to determine if 76 should round down to 70 or up to 80. In the video, they are prompted to find the midpoint between 70 and 80. Man, I keep doing fives, you guys. Okay. All right. So then, depending on the midpoint, that's going to be their indicator if they should round up or down. So since 76 is more than 75, they know that they're going to plot that point above 76, and then they can visually see that 76 is closer to 80. So they're going to want to round or move Ozobot to 80. Then they'll transition to their rounding activity map, and you'll notice that this is the blank one. This map has Ozobot making a choice. So this is about directionality as far as the color code choices go. They can program Ozobot to turn left to move to a rounding number, or they can program Ozobot to turn right to move to a rounded number. First, students are going to indicate which number Ozobot needs to move to by putting in a win, exit, play again code. So they would go ahead and they will put, since 76 rounds up to 80, I would put my green and my blue as my win exit to signal 80 is the number or the correct answer I want Ozobot to move to. And then we do encourage students to turn their paper depending on their knowledge and comfort with directionality. But if I turn my paper or turn it for you so that you can view it from Ozobot's point of view, that might help them in determining if they need to program the bot to turn right or turn left. So in this case, Ozobot would need to be programmed to turn right. So I would put in my turn right color code. So I will do my green. Nope, I will do my blue. Red. Green. And then when I run my Ozobot from my start, it's going to move to hopefully 80 if all goes well. You shut off on me. And then he'll celebrate and dance because he rounded to the correct number. So that's how our rounding fun activity works. Again, there's numbers already selected for students to practice rounding to the nearest 10 and 100. You can utilize the blank template if you wanted to have your students use different numbers or challenge them to make their own. So this is just the blank map where it has lines for you to fill in any sort of numbers that you might want your students to use instead. And then you could choose to use the number line sheet as well or not. But that is the rounding fun activity. And I'm gonna pass it to Melissa because she's gonna share with you our 4th grade math activity.
Great, thank you, Natalie. I apologize, everyone. I was on my phone. I was hoping to use that as a dot camera, but then it decided not to cooperate. So I'm gonna do the same and tilt my screen like Natalie did. But before I do wanna talk about this lesson a little bit because I know it's a little bit hard to see. This lesson is super, super fun, but it's quite detail oriented. So in this lesson, just to let you know, actually for all of these lessons, we have included the full length videos here on the slide deck. So if this is something that you want to come back and check out later, that full length video is there for you. I'm gonna very quickly go over how this lesson is used. There's a lot of steps, but we actually walk students through every single step in this lesson. And I think you'll find that your students will absolutely love it because it's a lot of fun. Essentially, the idea is the Ozobot's gonna start here. Students are going to fill in a color code, a speed color code, so they get to choose slow, fast, cruise, or turbo. And their goal is to finish this division with the remainder problem before Ozobot makes it all the way around the maze and to the end. So they're racing their Ozobot to finish their math problem more quickly than the bot can travel. Just to give you an idea of what types of math problems there are, this is the corresponding worksheet where the students will record their numbers and record the math problems that they've done. So you can see the color code key is here for them, and then they have 16 different math problems for them to practice. I know as a kid, I just hated long division. I don't know if that was just me, but I feel like if I had the opportunity to do this as a long division lesson, I would absolutely take this over just, you know, crunching out numbers. So with that, let me actually show you. I've pre-filled in, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that you can have a bigger view of my table. Oh, let me turn my background off so that that doesn't interfere with the worksheets. Okay. Is everybody able to see my paper here?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great, thank you. So what I've done here is I've taken one of the math problems, 35 divided by 2. And so all of these numbers are color coded. So I have 2 on a yellow line because that's what my first problem was 35 divided by 2. Each of these numerals are on a specific color. And the way that this is designed is that those numerals will carry over to all, they'll consistently be on that same color line. So because my problem is 35 divided by 2, I put 2 in on the yellow line, and everywhere there is a yellow line on this piece of paper, I've already pre-filled out the number 2. And so this worksheet actually guides students through the complete long division process. So the first thing they do is, I'm gonna do it without the bot just so I can explain it to you, and then I'll try racing the bot to see if I can do long division more quickly than the bot can travel. But essentially, in the video, we have the kids record their problem first. Then we have them go through and fill in all of the corresponding colors with the same numeral. And then we guide them through going through all the steps of long division. So the first step is 3 divided by 2. And so we actually go through 3 divided by 2 goes in 1 time. And then we instruct students, okay, everywhere you see an orange line, you're gonna write the number 1 because you just solved that math problem. So I added 1 there, and then I'll add a 1 here. Then the students actually follow the same path that the Ozobot is traveling. And the next problem I have here is 1 times 2. And so this is where students then multiply. That's the multiplication step in long division. And now I see that I have the numeral 2 on a green line. So everywhere I see a green line, we add that number 2. So I'm going to add that here. And then we actually guide them through that process. So you can see now the students will get all the way over here, but they actually have to come back and we guide them through the step. We say 3 minus 2 equals 1. And 1 goes on the brown line. So everywhere we see brown, we plug that in. And then let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the blue. The blue needs to carry down. So now this is where we do our check 1. Is 1 less than 2? And the answer is yes. So then we travel over here and then we continue with our problem. So I forgot to fill in this blue part right here. So this is where we subtract, and we actually subtract and put a numeral in this area. So that's 14. 35 minus 15 is 14. And then that's on a pink line. So we actually write that on all the pink lines. And then we continue on. So with that, we know that K is 1 because 15 minus 14 is 1. We plug that in on all the black lines. And, oh, I forgot that yellow line there. And then I forgot this blue. So this is where it gets super tricky because there are a lot of different fields to follow and to make sure that you fill in. So I'm gonna actually start my bot so that I can complete the rest of this long division problem. I got a head start because I completed most of the long division problem, but here's the idea. The student will start the bot on the color code. They would go in and start their long division problem. And so I was here, I was at 15 divided by 2. Let's see, did I miss something here? It says sorry, let me flip this around. Is K less than 1? Is 1 less than 2? If the answer is yes, and the remainder is here. And so oh, whoops. I missed a couple of things here. I need to follow the video so that I know. So I missed the 7 here and the 7 here. And so that is where the 7 remainder 1 falls in. So the bot beat me, even though I got a head start. So I need to brush up on my division skills.
You got close, Melissa.
So you can see that this is challenging. There's a lot of different areas to plug in. What we have the students do is we have them actually go through this process without running the bot first, just so they know exactly what's expected of them. They can successfully solve the math problem, and then we challenge them with adding that color code and solving more problems with the race. And again, you can see it was tricky for me as an adult. So this is going to be quite rigorous for your students if they are not super fresh with their long division skills. Did I miss anything, Natalie? Is there anything else we wanted to add about this lesson? I think that was it.
I think so. I think the biggest component, which if you decide to do this lesson with your students, which I know it's hard to see, do you want me to here? I'll grab the screen so I can show the slide.
Sure.
Is that no pun intended, but the activity sheet is color coded as far as where students should put their numbers. And I think that's just very important, which I think is what Melissa, like if you miss one line, then it's gonna obviously hold them up. But basically just that the students, depending on the step, once they've found, for example, the number that should be in the orange spot in their workspace, anywhere they see an orange line around the map, they're gonna write that same number. And then that would just be consistent for all the colors. And I think I would have probably, honestly, the students do this more than once, because I do think it walks them through the process of long division very well. It does a good job of breaking the steps down. I think just the orient of the map makes it seem more confusing than it is, but as far as actually walking through to students through long division, it does a good job of breaking it up.
Awesome, great. Yeah, thanks for that addition, Natalie. And I think you are going to model maze of operations, is that right?
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. So for 5th grade, this particular lesson is maze of operations, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a maze of operations. So students are going to focus on PEMDAS as far as solving problems with multiple different operations. So again, the videos are super for those of you who might not be comfortable leading the lesson on your own, or honestly, you can watch the videos ahead of time, and then I have confidence that many of you could then facilitate once you've seen the video in action. For this lesson, all the students need, which I was actually surprised as I was printing all this out, but one sheet. This is one of our few lessons that requires only one sheet of paper. So they just need their maze, and you'll notice that some equations have already been created for the students, and their challenge is going to be to solve those equations based on their answer. As long as their answer is correct, they will find the corresponding color code that needs to be plugged into the missing sequence to successfully get their Ozobot from the start to the finish. I will show you briefly on mine, but I do want to say that there was a teacher who actually pulled this lesson, a lower grade teacher, and took the map and used it for subtraction, which was awesome. So you could even utilize this map over and over again by changing the equations and your answers at the bottom. So looking at my map, I think it's the right way now? No, it's the right way. Okay. I would solve my first equation. The students can either solve and do their work on a scrap paper, or they can solve right on the map. So we've got our 8 times 4. I'm not going to be able to write upside down for you guys. Okay, 32 minus 5 is going to give us 27. So my answer is going to be 27. And then what's nice is the students have a quick check, because they're automatically going to know, is that answer correct or incorrect? Because if I come up with a solution and it's not in my color code key, then chances are it's probably not correct. But if I look down at my color code key, I can find the number 27, and I see that the missing color code here would be blue, green, blue. So that's what I'm going to fill in for that first sequence. Now, this particular map does include some directionality, meaning there are color codes to program the bot to turn a certain direction. So that's going to be important that students are getting the correct answers, because if they don't, their bot probably will not get from the start all the way to the finish. So that's kind of the big main goal there. Yeah, so this one's kind of pretty self-explanatory comparatively. But we also, I know as Melissa mentioned, have lots of other lessons being developed and constantly added to our lesson library. So we are working diligently to take computer science to the next level with integrating it with core concepts in ELA and math, as well as in STEAM. And I'll pass it back to you, Melissa, or is it going to Adrian?
I think Adrian's going to talk about student view, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, I will take over the screen. Give me 1 second, guys. So yeah, before jumping into student view, I want to really quickly cover how you can access all this great content that Melissa and Natalie and Jen and the whole EDU team have been putting together for educators. So I know a lot of you guys who are attending today have attended some of our past webinars, which is awesome. Just in case someone is new, the place where you can create an account and access all of this great content is within Ozobot Classroom, our software platform. So just go to classroom.ozobot.com. If you use Google Classroom to manage your students and assignments, definitely create your account and or sign in with Google here. So I'm going to sign in really quick as a teacher just to show you guys where to find the content. So here's my educator dashboard. I'm just going to the lesson library. And then even if you've used Ozobot Classroom in the past, this is still relatively new. So there's this remote friendly filter here. So I'm just going to select and apply that filter to make sure that I'm seeing all this great Learn Anywhere lesson content from the team, including what we've covered today. And Melissa mentioned earlier those intro lessons. Those are down here at the bottom. So just wanted to highlight that stuff really quick. Now I will sign out so that I can show you guys student view. And I'll come back to this slide later. Okay, so student view is also brand new to Ozobot Classroom. If you are a Google Classroom user, you're going to be able to take advantage of it. And it really leverages your students' existing Google Classroom accounts. So there's no need for yourselves, the educators, or parents to manage additional logins for students. So I'm going to walk through this really quickly with you guys. There are two ways that students can access the Learn Anywhere lessons that you assign to them. I think the most simple way is they'll get a Google Classroom email notification, just like they usually do. But if for any reason you need to point one of your students to their assignment, you can use the link here, classroom.ozobot.com/student. So I'm gonna, as if I had received one of those Google Classroom email notifications, show you guys student view. So I would receive an email, within it, click open, and it brings the student to Google Classroom here. This is my lesson, and I'm gonna click Ozobot Classroom. And this launches the student view. Again, we don't want you guys to have to manage additional accounts for your students, so students are just going to sign in with Google. And then from this point forward, they're stepped through their assignment, covering everything from objectives and what they're gonna, what materials they'll need, to those great instructional videos that the team has created for you. So I'll show you what that looks like. We just check that their bot has been updated first, then cover objectives, the materials I'll need to complete this lesson, and then the videos themselves. The full video for the lesson is broken up into bite-sized parts here. So really great for when your students are remote, for self-pacing and self-guiding through the lesson. And I just want to highlight, if your students ever have a question for you, they have easy access back to Google Classroom to message you. But let's say I'm just flying through this lesson. When students are done, they are prompted to submit their work. They can upload up to 3 images here. So I'll just upload an example and plug one of our Halloween lessons at the same time, and go ahead and submit my work. And once students submit their work, they're also prompted to share how they felt about the assignment. This is just because we've heard from you guys that it's really important to be able to check in with your students and on their social emotional well-being right now. So I'm going to say I loved the assignment and I am all set. I can also see other upcoming assignments I have here, as well as all of my completed work and the status of that work, whether it's in review. So let me go back to our slides. And so I know a lot of you guys have visited these webinars with us before, so I'm going to keep this part pretty brief. But if you are looking to bring this experience to all of your students, we just want to make sure you're aware of the Ozobot one-to-one program. This is a brand new program that really takes everything that educators love about our bots and then all this new Learn Anywhere lesson content and packages it together. So I'll break down each of these 3 points here. So as part of the program, each of your students gets an Ozobot, of course. That's for hands-on engagement wherever they are, whether they're working at home or in the classroom with you. It's really great. They have those protective cases so that students can bring their bots back into the classroom or transition back to remote, because we know things are really dynamic right now, and or a lot of you are actually running hybrid models. The program also comes with worry-free bot replacements. So right at the start, you're going to get 20% of your bots replacements kind of ready to go, so that you don't have to worry about bots that getting broken or lost, as we know can happen when kids are going between home and school. So there's no worries about that. You'll also get 20% again replaced at the start of your second year. So we wanted to bake that into the program. That's kind of the breakdown for students. Teachers get access to all this great, ready to run, remote friendly lesson content. A lot of what you guys have been seeing in the webinars is available to everyone right now, but eventually a lot of it's going to be gated and exclusive to the Ozobot one-to-one program. So I just want to highlight that. And then for the schools and districts, you're getting a way to be able to track student engagement. And like I mentioned, getting that check on student social emotional well-being as well. You might be sitting back and saying, how are schools affording to go one-to-one with Ozobot? That's something we're happy to connect with you and share resources for. It's eligible for CARES Act funding as well as other federal and state level initiatives. So if you're interested, even if you're not sure you have the budget, definitely reach out to our team at that link, ozobot.com/hybrid, and we're happy to help you find a solution and cover kind of your needs and wants. And I said I would come back to this. So I covered where within Ozobot Classroom to access remote friendly lessons, but just so you know, we'll be sending around these slides with all the links right here. Also, our blog is updated whenever we release new lessons, and it also has really detailed instructions that Melissa and the team have provided for whether you're using these lessons in the classroom, for remote, or a hybrid in between. So let me skip. I think that brings us to Q&A, actually. So let me see. Does anyone, I believe you guys have been unmuted, so you can ask us questions if you'd like. We were also thinking, again, I know a lot of you guys have attended some of our past webinars, so we would love to ask you some questions if you're open to it. Namely, one thing that we tried differently today was going into a little more detail and actually modeling the lessons. We're curious whether you guys want that level of detail, whether that's helpful to you. If you like it, we could do things like get a nice little rig where you can see things better when we're showing the bot in action. But yeah, just curious if you guys prefer that or quicker summaries of the lesson content.
He's willing to let a lot of people die. Does his staff understand that?
Yeah, I would like that.
Well, Joanne,
You like the modeling?
Yes.
Okay, good. Great. I'm glad you guys bore with us today while we figure it out.
I enjoyed these webinars. They're really good, very helpful, educational as well.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Yeah, I mean, Melissa and Natalie, and you've probably seen Jen and some of the other ones have put so much effort and blood, sweat, and tears into these lessons, and I know it brings them a lot of joy to see the reactions to them.
Oh, it's very much appreciated on my end. Trust me, I enjoy it.
Tracy, have you tried using any of them with your students so far?
So before COVID, we were doing it, and during the summertime, we had a short program for 4 weeks, and the kids really liked to use the Ozobots. So this is helpful because it gives me more to do with them. So there's different age levels that I have, like I do an after school program, and I have from 5-year-olds up to 12-year-olds. So this is really, really helpful that I'm learning different things because there's a day that I have just what we call Tech Thursday. And so that's when I get out the Ozobots and we program different things. Well, it was basically, I was trying to build, I had a class with a group of girls. They were 8 years old, and I wanted them to do like a storytelling type of thing. And so they went with Little Red Robin Hood. So we were building the leaves and the trees for the Ozobots to go over, and the girls were really getting into building the Little Red Robin's house so that the Ozobots can cut through and go over a bridge. And so they were really getting into it. And so again, like I said, COVID happened, so it all came to an end. But I would love to do the math stuff as well with them. So this is good.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Tracy. We'd love to hear if anybody in the audience has actually had experience using any of these lessons and have any, special requests or ideas, or just anything that would be helpful for you to make these even better for you. We're here to make things as easy as possible. We know times are really, really tough. Teachers are in very, very challenging situations. We're here to partner with you, and we're here to help you. And we want to make the best tool possible for you. So if anybody has any thoughts, please feel free to unmute yourself and share in the chat as well.
And I saw, Melissa, we do have a question that popped into the Q&A. Paula asked, what part is going away eventually if you don't have the one-to-one program? Great question, Paula. I'm sure a lot of people are anxious or curious about that. So want to set your mind at ease. We're not taking away all of that Learn Anywhere lesson content. We want at least the introductory lessons available to everyone always, and some of the standards aligned content lessons as well in math and ELA. So the way that we are viewing this Learn Anywhere lesson content is that teachers could use it in a cadence of about one lesson per week. So that means you'd be covered for anywhere from like 6 to 7 weeks of content. And the intention is that eventually it will be gated from that point forward. So schools that are part of the one-to-one program can just keep going with that weekly content that's going to be released by Melissa and team. So hopefully that answers your question. And it's right now still accessible to everyone. So you can use everything you've seen.
I have a question for the group as well. Wondering if any of the lessons that were in the it wasn't the Learn Everywhere, like the classroom feature before COVID, but some of the previous lessons I've tried to look at, but didn't have like a model of like, here's what it should look like. For example, I wanted to do something with, there was a Thanksgiving themed one of like thankful things with coordinate grids, and I couldn't visualize how it was supposed to work. And then I tried it and it didn't seem like it matched up with what was kind of described in the lesson plan. So I didn't know if there was a like backfill of some of the lessons that had already been put out before COVID of some examples.
Yeah, that's a really great question, Paula. Adrian, would you mind going to the lesson library? I imagine that the lesson you were looking at is likely a user-generated lesson, which means it comes from our community, and it's something that's been submitted by teachers that use Ozobot. As an Ozobot team, we've been very thorough about making sure that all the components are there that are necessary to be successful in the lesson. But in the lesson library, there is the icon that shows you which lessons are Ozobot internally developed by our team. And anything that doesn't have that icon is generally user generated, so submitted through our community. And I think Adrian might be able to show us. No worries. In just a second.
I'm gonna get there. I'm trying to just get back to our regular lesson library. Give me 1 second.
But I would highly recommend, Paula, to look for the Ozobot internally generated content, because that's kind of your bulletproof. Those will be your bulletproof lessons that encompass everything that you need to be successful. And Adrian is actually pointing out that that O icon in the bottom left-hand corner means that is Ozobot officially internally generated. Does that help? Is that helpful for you?
So here you can
Yes, it's very helpful.
Here's a couple of community generated lessons that don't have that Ozobot icon, if that makes sense.
And I just want to say that if you're experiencing, we so appreciate our lessons from the community. But if you're having trouble with any of them and they're not matching up, also just send us an email, as we have the email addresses of all those educators that submitted, so we can give them feedback for improving the lesson also.
And Paula, if you, to piggyback on that, thank you, Cassandra. If you do happen to come across that lesson again or find it, please let us know so that we can kind of follow up and either do what Cass said, or if it was something that we generated internally, we'd love to get your feedback to see what we need, what is needed to improve so that you can be successful.
And speaking of Thanksgiving, I think the team has some stuff in store for you. Right, Melissa?
Yes, Natalie, I don't know if you want to give a sneak peek or just a sneak summary description of some of the holiday lessons that you've been working on. I know we're quickly designing and producing all of the winter holidays. So that's coming up. Natalie, I don't know if you want to share any more details about what you've been designing. You've had some really, really fun and exciting lessons that I know are coming out soon.
Well, that's so sweet of you. We have started, well, actually pretty much they're in final development with videos. So yeah, the lessons have been developed for Thanksgiving, as well as we've got Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, just to name a few. The lessons are intended for kind of like a one size shoe fits all with opportunity for variations. So Thanksgiving in general, that focus is, or that lesson is focused mostly honestly on more gratitude than the history of that holiday. We wanted to generate a lesson that is STEAM oriented. So it touches on obviously the technology and the computer science. There's also some engineering involved because they have to make Ozobot's pathway to this gratitude party. And then there's some arts as they do some, I say origami, but they're actually creating like 3-dimensional figures. So I guess that's more math related. And then they're going to do a lot of writing, which pulls into ELA as far as the topic of gratitude. So that's a very brief summary of a lot that's involved in this one lesson. But I think the experience and the impact of the lesson will be great for students of all ages. And I think we'll be sharing it in more detail soon. So
and I'm going to drop in the chat, if you have an Ozobot Classroom account, this is a link to our lesson library. Yesterday, we did host a webinar all about Halloween. We got some really exciting just energy and feedback about our Halloween lessons. The link in particular that I just shared is our Learn Anywhere lesson, which is Ozobot Trick or Treat that Natalie developed. And it's just a super, super fun lesson. Feel free to check that out. I know Halloween's right around the corner. So if you're looking for something fun to do with your students, this is a great opportunity to get them excited about Ozobot. Are there any other questions from the audience? All right, should we move on to our wrap up and our giveaway?
Yeah, I will get that slide.
All right, great. So let's see, we are going to have, Natalie, could you choose a number between 1 and 36?
1 and 36. Let's go with 22.
22. Cassandra, do we have a winner?
Yes, one entry. What is entrant? Number 22 is Margie Lamb.
Congratulations, Margie.
About you guys, but this is my favorite part. Like, yeah. I feel like I'm on like The Price is Right or like some game show, and I just get so excited. So, yay, Margie.
All right, great. So if Margie, you can email Cassandra at ozobot.com to claim your prize. We are going to just wrap up really quickly. Again, if you'd like a PD certificate for today's webinar, for today's webinar, you can email support@ozobot.com. If you want to receive an email when this webinar recording is available, you can opt in for updates at ozobot.com. It's going to, if you go to the website and scroll to the bottom, there's a field where you can type in your email address. And then again, in the slide deck, we have the links to the lessons we covered today and more about going one-to-one with Ozobot. Great. Congratulations, Margie. We are so thrilled for you. We hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there. And have a wonderful week.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.